My name is Dr. Jacqueline Lamek Bundala. I am in the Department of Sociology and Social Work in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. I'm a lecturer in OSS 123, Classical Sociological Theory. Now, today we are going to study Classical Sociological Theory. What are we going to study in Classical Sociological Theory? In Classical Sociological Theory, we are going to study a knowledge area 1. In here, we're going to focus on theory. We'll discuss what is theory. Again, we will study about what is social theory. Then, we will know what classical sociological theory is. Again, we are going to study about Enlightenment views. If you remember, classical sociological theory involved during between 15th to 16th century in Western Europe. Those years, those centuries, was called as the Enlightenment era. So, in there are some scholars who also evolved, who also came, who also gave their views on considering the way they view their surrounding society, surrounding religion, and so forth. So here again, we are going to study or see their views. For instance, we will read about social contracts by Jacques Rousseau. Again, we will study about separation of power, which was written or was discussed by Montesquieu. Then government's power in people by John Locke and Auguste Comte, and his contribution in sociology as a field. Now, we are going to start. What is theory? When someone says theory, what do you get from there? Theory, in a very brief way, means a general abstract interpretation. A general abstract interpretation. A theory is an abstract system of concepts and their relationships that help us to understand a phenomena. In simple way, a theory is an interpretation or abstract interpretation of particular concepts. For example, when we say poverty, what do you get from the word poverty? So, if you know how to explain what poverty is or how poverty came into being, that we can say that is the theory which discuss or explain about poverty. Okay, let's continue. Simply, for sake of knowing, we can say that theory is contemplative and a rational type of abstract, or in a simple way, is a generalizing thinking about phenomena or the result of such thing. It is a generalizing thinking about phenomena. When you generalize thing, you generalizing a thing. It is what it is, how it works, how it belongs, how those things. That one we can say that is theory. And how we do it, you have to go in-depth analysis. You have to come with a rational explanation. Rational explanations means reasoning explanation about that thing. So when you come with an in-depth explanation and in-depth reasoning concerning a thing or concerning a concept, that we can say that is the theory. You cannot give theory without going in depth. you have to go deep in it to see what that concept means, to reason how that concept relates or interrelates with other factors. Then from that point or from that product, that we can say that now you can say that we've defined what is theory. Okay, I've already said about what is theory, and I've said about what is meaning of contemplation, and also I have said about what is rational, or in another way means reasoning or logic. Therefore, in a simple way, we can conclude that a theory is an in-depth abstract interpretation of system of concepts and their relation that use reasoning in order to help us to understand a phenomena. So, if you want to understand any phenomena, simply we can say that you need to have an in-depth abstract interpretation plus reasoning. Now, from that cover, from that angle, now we can say that that is what we call the theory. Okay, when we say theory, what theory means, or what theory helps us in reality, in our modern life? Theories simplify reality. That is the one major factor which we need theory for our lives. The world is very complex, but by having theories, we simplify many things. For example, I've said about poverty. By having a theory considering poverty, we simplify many factors related to poverty. It can even help us to come with solution considering poverty. By knowing, for instance, that the poverty which we have is because of reason, maybe said, we can say because of colonization, and or maybe because of our social structure. Maybe our social structure was not organized. That is why we are poor. Maybe our religious institutions were not organized. We are not strong enough to, to be stable or to defend ourselves against Christianity maybe, or Islam. And that is the main reason we are poor. But all of this we can get only through theory. Okay, in theory, theories tell us what to pay attention to. Theories tell us what to pay attention to. For instance, in poverty, there are so many things, or many concepts which are interrelated within our concepts regarding poverty, but we have to know really reason for our poor, or really reason concerning our poverty. So, if we go to theory, we will know where to start, or we will know where to concentrate. For example, we can know that, because we are poor, maybe because of capitalism, that is, we are poor. So we have to concentrate in capitalism to discover that we are poor. So we can see how theory simplify our world, and how theories also tells us where to pay attention to. Okay. In theory, we have 4 components of theory. We have concepts. Concepts, we've already talked. Thinking, construction, we have to be constructive. And then connection, we have to connect our concepts. We have to relate them in order to come with a concrete theory. And again, we have hypotheses, we have assumptions. We have to assume why we are studying this. What is the logic, what is the reason of maybe studying poverty. Therefore, we can conclude that in theory, there are elements such as concepts, thinking constructions, connection or associations, and hypotheses, as we already seen before. And I've said already, inside a theory, we have variables. What we can say, variables and characteristics, those are numbers or some quantity or characteristics which are within theory. But in general, in a very big conclusion, we can conclude that theory consists of four things, as I said before. What is social theory? We have already talked about theory, but what is social theory? Social theory are analytical framework or paradigm used to examine social phenomena. The term social theory encompasses ideas about how society change and develop, about method of explaining social behavior, about power and social structure, gender and ethnicity, modernity, civilization, revolution, and utopia. And briefly, we can say that social theory means it studies or it encompasses ideas about how society change. Social theory means their theory which only studies about society in general, in different views, in different way. How society functions, for example, how social structure works, what is gender, how gender relates to the society, why ethnicity, why people cluster themselves based on their ethnics, what's the relationship between ethnics and major society or major groups in a society. So when we take social theory, it is a theory as it is, but the theory which concentrates in society, in social life, in social institutions. What is social theory? In contemporary social theory, certain core themes takes precedency over other themes as nature of social life, the relationship between self and society, the structure of social institution, and so on. That in short, social theory studies or concentrates its studies in those social institutions, social transformation, social change, and so forth. Now we've already know about theory, as I said before. Again, we've studied about social theory, as we've already finished here. Social theory, it is a theory, but only concentrates in society. Now, what is classical sociological theory? Okay, the basic introduction, we can read introduction. The basic premise of all classical sociological theory is that the contemporary world is outcome of transitional from tradition to modern society. It explains how Karl Marx, Max Weber, Emily Durkheim describe this transition. How do they define the consequences of such a transition on Western society? In a very brief, we can say that classical sociological theories involve when Western European countries change from their traditional societies to modern societies. So when they transform from traditional to modern, that is the period which is called Enlightenment, and that's Enlightenment era, and that is the period which many classical sociological theory involved. Now, sociological theories aims to understand that we know as the modern world. This approach through understanding the transition from pre-modern or traditional societies to modern societies. The theorists, commonly known as the founders or fathers of sociological theory, are also three key figures in understanding this transition, in consequences, and ultimately what is led into the future. So as I've already said that sociological theory, these are theories which evolved during Enlightenment era, Enlightenment age in Western Europe, and that these theories are called classical sociological theory. It is because European countries, those Western European countries, were in transformation from their traditional societies to modern societies. Now, Enlightenment. We can discuss more about Enlightenment age in order to understand the involvement of classical sociological theory. The Enlightenment movement was an intellectual movement in Europe during the 18th century in which people began to change their views in the world and society. That is the time. The Enlightenment grew largely out of the new method and discovery achieved in scientific revolution of 16th and 17th century. So, the classical sociological theory has a very close relationship with Enlightenment age. It is in this time these theories evolved, immense, came up. These theories came during those age because of change in technology, in advancement of scientific. For instance, scientific revolution. In those days, there was scientific revolution, led people to view world in different lights. People used to see world in a very, very narrow. But during this Enlightenment age, people started viewed their surrounding in different way. Again, challenged the power of the church. By that time, church was, what can I say? But those days, church was absolute in power. No one can question anything concerning church. But that time, philosophers, social thinkers started to question about church, started to question about sin, morality, equality, liberty. Those were the days those ideas came up. Now, Enlightenment, a time for lighting, a time for scientific revolution, formed the foundation of all modern sciences, followed by the Enlightenment. So, we can say that. The connection, the scientific revolution showed the nature and the universe could be explained through reason using mathematical precision. It is in that time scientific revolution advanced, and many things which were not questioned before now came into questioning. For instance, people were told that we were created by God. People are told that you have to do sacraments, or if you don't do that, you'll go to hell. People started questioning about hell, about heaven, about religion, about liberty, about equality, and so forth. Things which people before were not questioning. They were absolute. Church was absolute. If you questioned anything, you were to be killed. But during Enlightenment age, the people were free, were starting to question many surroundings. Who did this? Why it stinks? Why there should be having a king who is not maybe responsible to his subjects. So Enlightenment bring a lot of scholars, bring a lot of thinkers into light. So people began to believe that they could explain the working of society and relation of people in terms of scientific study. It is in this time, or in that time, now people see that we can explain how society working and how this society relate with people in a scientific way. Before that, you cannot ask anything. You have to do your taboos, you have to do your morals, you have to go to church every day without even, you have to go on Sunday, church. You cannot question why I'm going. If you don't go, you will go to hell. You will be killed by whatever. It's God, whoever God comes, and in their day, the final day, you will be put in the eternity fire. So there are so many things, but this Enlightenment age, as I said, it came with so many reasoning. Enlightenment principles. There was Enlightenment principles that in Enlightenment principles, religion, tradition, and superstition limited independent thought. Before that, everything, people were controlled by religion, traditions, and superstitions. Now, through this era, religion was started to be questioned. Traditions were to be started to be questioned. Superstitions already. Okay. Another thing is, in these Enlightenment principles, knowledge based on observation, logic, and reason, and not on faith. Before that, everything you have to believe. You believe and there's no questioning. If you believe it's true or not, you have to have faith. If you don't have faith, you assume you are a sinner. But during this time, people started to have knowledge, to question many surroundings which surrounds them. And through observation, you have to observe and you don't believe blindly faith. No, you have to observe. Again, you have to have a logic. You have to have reason. You have to think before you say. You are not like an animal who is only following his natural path or natural roads, which is ancestors or our ancestors past used to pass. No, Enlightenment age came with opening of knowledge, opening of logic. Again, scientific and academic thinking should be based on reasoning, not on church. Again, people were encouraged to use scientific and academic thinking and reasoning and not depend on church in everything. So this is what makes a classical sociological theory. It is that in that time when there's an Enlightenment age in Europe, these sociological theories, sociological thinkers came into being because of their surrounding. So, in this again Enlightenment, it included a number of writers living at different times in various countries. This Enlightenment age encouraged a lot of writers to come up in different countries, from Germany, from UK, and other countries. They came up. Everyone contributed for what they believe it is correct. Again, these people challenged old ways of thinking. There was an old way of thinking, which based on religion, which based on traditions, which based on customs. So these people came and challenged the old way of reasoning before. Okay, again, the question about divine right of rule. Previously, in Europe, a right of rule belongs to monarchy. It belongs to king, and he is given by God. That is what they believed that, and there was no questioning or against it. But during this Enlightenment age, people started asking, why should someone, only individual family, started ruling for almost 1,000 years? Why they should rule alone? So they start asking those questions. So this is what that they came into an Enlightenment age where they can question. Believe that social reforms were necessary and possible in this life, not just the next. They started to do social reforms to restructure their society, to change their society. As I said before, monarchy, king was absolute power. King was ruled by traditions, was inherited. He inherited his crown. He is not being elected. Now they started to question, why should someone, for the sake of his own birth, become a king? So why we should not elect our own person? instead of someone only because of his blood, whatever, he has to rule us. So these were ideas of Enlightenment age. Okay, and that social reform were necessary, impossible. This life, the life which we are living, not the life which we will be told that when we die, we will go somewhere, and that somewhere will be very beautiful place. No, they started to question about our reasoning, our living time, the current time which they were living. Okay, there are so many Enlightenment thinkers. We cannot study all of them because, of course, they discuss many ways or in many ideas of different, from science, social sciences, political, in all different, perspectives. But we will study only few. We think that they are very important for us to understand our society. We have Thomas Hobbes, someone called John Locke, Voltaire, Montesquieu, Rousseau, and so forth. Okay, let's start with Jean-Jacques Rousseau. This person, he lived in 1712 to 1778. He was a political philosopher. Rousseau claimed that people were in a state of nature which was primitive, conditioned without law or morality. So, according to him, is that we were in a state of nature, and that's we were primitive in the condition without law or moralities. That we human beings were like animals. We were somewhere like animals, the way animals are in state of nature. Human beings left the state of nature for the benefit and necessary of cooperation. Then, after state of nature, human beings decided to stay together because of cooperation, because of depending on one another. As society developed, the division of labor and the private property required the human race to adopt institution laws. So he said that after we moved from a state of nature, then we decided to live together for cooperation. Now society developed division of labor. We have to say, you have to do this, I have to do that one. And private property. We have to have also owning our properties, because we found that human beings now started to own horses, started to own house, started to own pots. So, and started because of nature of human beings. I produce this and you give me this. I produce pot, you give me oil. You produce meat, I give you skin, something like that. So he say that that type of development came into being, division of labor, then private property, and after that now human beings started to introduce institutions of law in order to create harmony in a society, because without law there will be a lot of confusion. I can come and steal your things, you can come and sleep with my wife, sleep with my husband, sleep with your children. So society itself started to create some laws which can make them live in harmony. Man, that is what Rousseau said. Man is prone to be in frequent competition with his fellow. This threatened both his survival and his freedom. So, that is what we can say about Rousseau. According to Rousseau, by joining together into civil society through the social contract and abandoning their claim of natural right, individuals can both preserve themselves and remain free. So, Rousseau introduced something known as social contract, which he said that this is to determine legitimate political authority. In order to accomplish more and remove himself from state of nature, man must enter social contract with others. In social contract, everyone will be free because all individuals exercise the same amount of rights and same. Right? So based on Rousseau, is that in the beginning, after all those chaos, from primitive, as he said, and living together, we decided to create a social contract. So we are living together because we have decided to make social contract. We cannot harm each other. We cannot steal from one another. That is what Rousseau said. And in some ways, you can see that, how did they put it? They put it in their traditions, in their customs, and those who have maybe writings, they put in their writings. That is what Rousseau said. We conclude with Rousseau. Another person, again, a social thinker of that time, during Enlightenment era, is called Montesquieu. Montesquieu lived in 1689 to 1759. He talked about separation of power. He was a French philosopher, and he discussed about separation of power. He argued that no single set of law could apply to all people in all times. Stated monarchy was necessary if there was a better government. He said that there's no need of having a state monarchy, was not necessary if there was a better government. We should not necessarily continue to be in a monarchy. We are continuing to be in a kingdom if we can have a good government other than monarchy. So he decided powers to be separated, as we know, as if it is that in Europe those days, religious, political, and all powers were invested or were vested on one person. For example, king had power political, had power religiously, and so forth. So Montesquieu wanted these powers to be separated. Others should have judicial power, others should have executive power, others should have political power. So he wanted society to have different power distributed to different people rather than having one power to one individual or to one institution. So Montesquieu says that he said that, so he believed there is separation of powers and check and balance to divide the government into 3 branches. So he's the founder who suggested powers to be divided into 3 branches. The idea also that it has to be judicial. That's now today's. In many of our government, we have judicial power. You can find their judges who you cannot intervene. They are working on their own. Again, we have legislatures in form of wabunge. Wabunge again have their own powers. They represent people. They work on their duties. And then again, we have executive powers. In here, we have president and other executive members. Also, they operate in their own. That ideas of separation of power came from Montesquieu. Power should be divided, should not be based on one person. You are the president, you are the judge, you are representing people. No, power should be divided. That is what. And it became a very famous. Even America adopted that his ideas, and they have separate powers of judges, of president, and of the representative. Okay, another person, philosopher, who also living in this era, his name is John Locke. This person lived in 1632 to 1704. He was English philosopher. New ideas about rights of people and the relationship to ruler. He was the person who believed that the government was created for the people. If rules did not protect their rights, then people had the right to get new governments. Yeah, those days, government belongs to kings and the monarchy and the dynasty. And those people who are born in that lines, they are to be in government. So John Locke came with the new ideas that no, not that we have to have people who are in bloodline to be kings, to be our representative. No, that government was to be created for the people. The aim of government is to help people. That is what. And again, we have to have rules which protect people. People of that country should enjoy their government and not depend to be, subjective to be oppressed with their rulers. No, it is a duty of government to provide services and to protect its people. So, and if that government does not do that, that government has to be removed from the power because it is doing nothing. So, means you want a revolution, you have to revolve, you have to make a revolution to remove that government and put another government. That idea also was so impressed, and American Revolution resulted from this idea, from John Locke's idea of removing a government which is not needed, put another government. And in our modern time, that's why we have this election government, a presidential election, that a government should stay in power for a particular time, maybe 5 years, maybe 2 years, whatever you decide, you people, because this is government for the people. You decide that it is 2 years or it is 5 years. After 5 years, another 5 years. If you don't, please go, another person, let him come and do what's supposed to be done. So that is what John Locke said. Said that government formed to protect people's natural rights. Their natural rights, for example, a citizen who are born in that country, it is their natural right to be in that country, have to be protected. So John Locke said that these people, the government has to protect its people. Government should have limited power. Government should have limited, it should not have all the power, should not have judiciary power, executive power, and legislative. No, it should have a limited power and leave other organs also to have other powers. The type of government should be accepted by all citizens. He suggests that the government should be accepted by all citizens. The government should not be in power when it is not accepted by majority. And that is why in our time we have election, and we expect the person who win that election will be our president, will be our mbunge, and so on. It has to be majority. Okay. Another thing John Locke said, he rejected absolute monarchy. He was against about kingdom, monarchy. For instance, Queen Elizabeth, he was against that type of monarchy, that you should not get to rule because you are born. No, you should have qualities to become a leader, and not because of your virtue of your birth, but because you are born a king. You are supposed to be a king. Your father was someone, and you are supposed to be like him because you were born in a house of king. No, you have to have qualities to become our ruler. Government has an obligation to those it governs. That it is the role of government. It has to have an obligation to those it governs. It has to be responsible for those people which it governs. People have the right to overthrow government if it fails its obligation or takes away natural rights. Again, John Locke, he says that if you don't accept this government, you can remove and you put another one. That is what we say, revolution. Or in our time, we can say that election. Election is the same as revolution. Election is a revolution which takes after 5 years. We as people, after 5 years, we choose our president. If after 5 years again, we see, we think, are you good or not? If you're not good, we remove, we put another one whom we think is fit. So this is type of what John Locke said. So natural rights. What are natural rights? Locke said that all people are free, equal, and have natural rights of life, liberty, and property that rulers cannot take. A right to live, that is our natural right of life. Liberty, freedom to express, that is a natural right. No one can take it, even a ruler cannot come and steal your right to express your views, your liberty, that is your natural rights. That is what John Locke said. That powers is in the people, not in rulers. That powers are not in rulers. No, powers are to be based in people. He influenced Thomas Jefferson Declaration of Independence. Again, John Locke influenced American Constitution. In their Thomas Jefferson, one of the president of America, was very influenced. His writings, he was very influenced by John Locke. Okay, we finish with John Locke. We come to another person. He's called Voltaire. He was born in 1694 to 1778. He was a French philosopher. He believed in the possibility of social change and reform. Man is free at the instance he wants to be. Tolerance, reason, freedom of religion and speech. That is what Voltaire talked about. He believed in social change and reform, that we can change. We are not supposed to be stagnant. We have to change. Ideas have to be changed based on time, and we have to reform. That's why we have to reform. We have to change through election. We have to change through constitution. We have to change even the way our structure. For example, in almost 100 years, African society have been changed. Traditionally, we are changed. Before Western people came, we used to have our traditional religion. Now we've changed. Majority are Muslims and Christian. That society has changed to adopt or to take another ideas of religion, another values of religion or values and whatever. So if that Voltaire believe in those things. And then he wants to say, man is free at the instant he wants to be. We are free. We are not born in bondage. We are not born slaves. No. Every human being is born free. That is what Voltaire said. Again, he said that there should be a tolerance in a society, in a political, in whatever. We have to have a tolerance in someone else. For example, we have to tolerate when some people are saying against us. We, as a government, you have to have a tolerance. We have to have reasons. Many things should not be done religiously, traditionally, superstitiously. No, we have to have reason. Freedom of religion, that everyone has a right to believe in what he believes. Because in Europe, they say in Dark Ages, more than 12th, 15th century and beyond there, in Europe, only you have to be a Catholic. There was no Protestant, there was no Muslim, there was nothing. If you are not a Catholic, you will be killed. You are the god of the land, and the religion of the land is Catholicism. But this Voltaire say no. People have to believe in what they believe. Freedom of religion. You have to believe, and speak what you think you think is right to you to speak. And a good example, it is of America. Actually, all those philosophers which they were saying, thinking, views, ideas, American country adopted those ideas. And that's why in America, there are so many freedom. You can even worship stone. No one will be against you. You can do whatever. They married up to dogs, we can see as an example. They married dogs. They do whatever they do. Because these people, of American people, were influenced by this thinkers. Okay, there's another person again called Auguste Comte. This person lived in 1798-1857. This is coined as the father of sociology. He was the one who wanted society to be studied in a scientific way, not from religion angle, not from hearsay angle. No, he wanted society to be used scientific way to be studied. Okay, he created sociology. He wanted society to be studied, as I said before, and he divided how to study it. Sociology can be divided into 4 categories: positive philosophy, positivism, religion of humanity, and classification and ordering of other social sciences. He said that the nature, method, and scope of sociology. So he said he was concentrated, as I said before, in studying sociology or in studying society. By studying society, he said that we will invent a study which is called sociology, or logi from the word Greek, philosophy, logic, reasoning, and social from the word society. So he coined that one to become society. So why focus on sociology? Is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanation and a prediction about the universe. Science is concrete, while society is a flexible thing which can change with the passage of time. So Auguste Comte wanted to study society by using scientific way. But in one thing is that society is flexible. It's not like science. Science, it is concrete. When this is stone, it's stone, it is stone. It is water. Water is based on hydrogen and oxygen, and that's all that it was like that. Auguste Comte wanted science. Yes, as we've already said, that Auguste Comte is coined as the father of sociology. Why? Because it is in his time where he advised or suggested that society should be studied in a scientific way, and he called it sociology. Before the emergence of sociology, there were no systematic and scientific attempt to study human society with all its complexity. Sociology has made it possible to study society in a scientific manner. So, how are the facts about social world to be gathered and used to develop, as well as to test how to be solve the problem, find solution? Okay, Comte came to suggest formula to study society. He said that we have to use experiment, we have to use observation, and we have to use historical analysis in order to come to the conclusion of how our society behaves. Okay, positive philosophy. Auguste Comte said that in positive philosophy, it states that society as a whole and each particular science developed through mental conceived stages. That is say that there is a positive philosophy where we can study our society. We call it law of 3 stages. One is theological. Theological, it is a time when it was a fictitious. According to Auguste Comte, fictitious society it has a law of three stages. One of them is called the theological stage. Or this theological stage, it is a fictitious polytheism and monotheism. Another one is metaphysical, abstract, and the other one is positive. So these are the way to the stages which society has to be studied. So we come others to continue. The first one, law of three stages, is called theological stages. In this stage, the study of nature, of God, and religious belief. That the theological stage is dominated by search for the essential nature of things, and the people came to believe that all phenomena are created and influenced by God's and supernatural power. Monotheism is the ultimate belief of theological stage. That there are the society can be studied, or society was studied in that angle, that society is, the study of nature, of God, and religious belief. That whatever came into being, we have to focus on religious way. That all interpretation were given to God's supernatural powers, forces, and whatever. There was no a concrete thinking of reason. If you see thunderstorms, you assume maybe the gods are fighting in heaven. Instead of in modern time, now we know that some molecules and the forces of nature are maybe in opposite direction. That's why there's a lot of lightning. But in those days, when you find maybe angels are fighting, that was interpretation which we used to give. According to Agamben Comte, it is called a theological stage, where people are not reason or questioning scientifically. They only questioning through, or they get the answer through beliefs, superstitions, and whatever. And they say that one of them is monotheism, the ultimate belief of theological monotheism, that we believe there's somebody. Mono means one, that there is someone, called it overseer, everlasting something. God called it a simple mono, one God somewhere is looking all of us down here, and everything which is doing outside, it's because of that being God. Polytheism again, that is I'm basing on Agamben Comte. That is not my words. That is Agamben Comte. Polytheism believes in many gods. That there's a God of thunder, God of fire, God of water. But in generally, Agamben said that these are the age, or this is a stage where society studied the society in a theological angle. They did not have reason. Comte described the metaphysical phase of humanity as the time since Enlightenment, time stepped in logical, rational to the time after French Revolution. This second phase stated that the universe, rights of humanity are most important. The central idea is that humanity is invested with certain rights that must be respected. Agamben Comte came to another stage of society. He called it metaphysical phase of humanity. Based on him, he put this era during Enlightenment up to French Revolution. That age, that time, he called metaphysical time, where people started to use their rational in analyze phenomena, analyze society, analyze physical surrounding, instead of using theological, superstitious, religious. That is the time what Agamben Comte. Many questions were being, come and asking, why this, why this? Now, Auguste Comte, in positive phase, that is the final stage which we are here. The final stage of this Comte University is the law, is the scientific of positive stage. The central idea of this phase is that individual rights are more important than the rule of any person. Comte stated the idea of humanity is able to govern itself, that makes this stage innately different from the rest. Okay. Again, in this stage that we can study society, we can know society from scientific point of view rather than depending on theological reasons. There's no higher power governing the masses and the intrigue of any one person than the idea that one can achieve anything based on one's individual free will and authority. The third principle is most important in the positive stage. So he believed that we, as a society, we can use scientific way to understand our society, but also we can use our own will to achieve what we are supposed to live and to achieve. So, according to Auguste Comte, he said that these were the three stages: the theological stage, positive stage, and the third one, altruism. Altruism is an ethical doctrine that holds that individuals have moral obligation to help, serve, or benefit others, if it's necessary, and the sacrifice of interest. Auguste Comte's version of altruism calls for living the sake of others. One who holds to either of these ethics is known as interest. He introduced a doctrine of altruism, introduced a doctrine of ethical, introduced a doctrine of morality, that in order to live together, we have to have morals, we have to have ethics, we have to be led by morality rather than going because of our traditions and whatever. France was passing, it should be remembered that France was passing through social crisis during the time of Comte. So in order to find a way out of this social encompassing, he thought a new science of society is needed, which he termed as sociology. So we can say that during the way his time of Auguste Comte, based on his time where he was living and the problem which they were facing as a nation, Auguste Comte came to this solution by looking society the way society was very maybe disorganized, chaos. He came to the solution by saying that we should study society, but we should study society in scientific way, rather than depending on our tradition, rather than depending on our traditions, rather than depending on superstitions, theological, religiously. No, let's study it scientific in order to get solutions. Classical sociological theory, Area 1. And here we have discussed what theory is. We have discussed about social theory. It is the same theory, but a theory which is based on studying social institutions like marriage, political institutions, and other institutions, social change, reform, and whatever. Again, we have studied about the Enlightenment age, which bring to classical sociological theory. Europe undergo a change of reasoning, of logic, and by those logic, thinkers were born. People wrote their views, and those views, it was called classical sociological theory. They organized, they say what they thought society should be. We've studied about social contracts by Jacques Rousseau. He said that society has to put contract. We have to put contract in order to live in harmony. Another person is Montesquieu. Montesquieu discussed about separation of powers, that power should be not vested on one person, on king. No, there should be separation of powers. Even John Locke also said the same as Montesquieu, that power should be separated, not be vested in one person. There should be judiciary, there should be executive, and there should be legislators. Also, another person who contributed a lot is Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte came by saying that society should be studied, but it should not be studied through traditions, through religion. No, we should study society in scientific way. And in order to come with how to study society in scientific way, he coined that study as sociology, that we should use a scientific way to study society. Thank you very much.